Hello, welcome back. Today we're in our third part of the how and the why vocal break, and we're going to talk about speech and Parkinson's disease. So why we're interested in speech is because speech in people with Parkinson's disease can likely be characterized by a soft voice, a fast rate of speech, and consonants that are pronounced imprecisely. And this can result in difficulty communicating. So we use different what we call articulators or resonators to shape the sound that is created by our larynx, which we talked about in our last meeting, to make the sounds of our language. So we can use our lips and our teeth. We can use multiple different parts of our tongue. We can push our tongue or move things against the hard palate, so that bony roof of your mouth. We can move the velum or the soft palate. So if you look in your mouth, you can see a little thing dangling. That's part of the soft palate. And then we have what are called resonators. So as air comes out through the vocal folds, it bounces around in the throat, and it bounces around potentially in the nasal cavity, and it bounces around in the oral cavity. So some of the sounds of our language can be produced more with the oral cavity. So for example, most of the air is coming through the oral cavity. So if I plug and unplug my nose, the sound doesn't change very much. So however, there's the sound, say, and that sound, most of the air is coming out of my nasal cavity. So if I plug my nose, there's a big change in these sounds. So in order to create speech, we inhale and exhale, like we talked about in our first meeting. Then we produce voice, like we talked about last meeting. And then we move those articulators to shape the sounds into the sounds of our speech. This is just an MRI video of someone speaking. So you can see the lips move, and you can see the tongue is moving quite a bit. And also the soft palate is moving up and down as well. And kind of the overall shape of things are moving. And so we again adjust the shapes of our articulators to change the sounds of the speech that we produce. And so speech is a movement. Like many other movements, it is impacted by Parkinson's disease. There are a couple different speech therapy programs that are specific to Parkinson's disease. One is called Lee Silverman Voice Treatment Loud, or LSVT Loud. The other one's called Speak Out. You can see these are both all in capitals, and they emphasize effortful, voluntary production of speech. And really the goal is to make speech an intentional act instead of more of an automatic function. So like I said, we're going to talk about two different aspects of speech therapy. They're not only found in LSVT Loud and Speak Out. They can be imparted in other speech therapy programs. It's also not the only thing that's part of a speech therapy program, but we're going to focus today mostly on loudness and speech rate. So in order to increase loudness, we can take a large diaphragmatic breath. So if we have really good breath support, we can get loud voicing and loud speech. You can think about speaking to the back of the room, really trying to project your voice. There is a device, it's called the Speech Vive. It's essentially a device that hooks into your ear. It's essentially kind of an earbud that produces just background noise. And it works on, it's called the Lombard effect. So if we are in a noisy space, we tend to automatically increase the volume of our voice. So this just simply works on that. But it's important to notice that Parkinson's can impact a person's ability to monitor the magnitude of their behavior. So with speech and with voice, that results in a low pitch or a soft voice. But the individual can sometimes feel like they're producing a normal volume of voice. And so when we do therapy and we increase loudness and turn up the volume, people feel like they may be shouting. Whereas if they're speaking louder, it might be speaking at a normal loudness of voice. So what happens when we increase our vocal drive and we speak louder? Our vocal folds vibrate more strongly and we have a clearer voice. We tend to automatically slow our speech, and that results in our communication partner hearing us better. Now looking at speaking slower, slowing down on the rate of our speech. You can sort of think about what you're saying and try to slow down. You can think about putting a space in between each words or give time to take those deep breaths. Again, breath support's very important for clear speech. You can tap your finger on a desk or your leg or use a pacing board. So this looks like this. So you would tap in each area for each word, and that slows us down. Again, also similar to loudness, Parkinson's can impact one's ability to monitor themselves. So using an external tool like a pacing board can be really helpful. What happens when we slow down? Our articulators have more time to reach their targets, so our pronunciation can be a little bit more clear. Sometimes we tend to over-enunciate when we slow down, and then this also results in our communication partner understanding us better, because if there are some articulatory errors in our speech, if we're going slower, it gives our communication partner more time to process the message. So just taking things slow can be beneficial, not just for the speech that we produce, but for our communication partner. And so that leads me in, to my final point, is that communication is a two-way street. So it's not just, the burden is not just on you as the speaker to get your message across, but it's also important for your communication partner, whomever you're speaking with, to understand if you have any speech difficulties, and they need to do some work to help understand your message as well. I like to tell my patients, bring your spouse, bring your adult children, bring your friends to speech therapy, and there the speech pathologist can help your communication partners with different tips on how to pay attention, make sure that you can see each other well. If you're in a loud space, try to find a quieter space. Just make the overall communication a little bit easier. Also, a speech language pathologist can help your communication partner communicate if they misunderstand you better. So instead of your communication partner getting mad because they're not able to understand you, there might be some ways that a communication partner could indicate that they don't understand in a bit more of a sensitive way. And a speech pathologist can help out with that too. Again, finally, this is my email address. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions. And I'm looking forward to seeing you for our last How and Why vocal break tomorrow.